So every now and then, fate shines on you. A while back, I was complaining to Camera Lady that my old headlamp that I use for camping and working on the car was getting a bit long in the tooth, I would say. It used 3 AA batteries. Every time I laid on my back and tried to look up at the car when I was working on it, it would slide off my head, and I was just getting frustrated. And I told Camera Lady, I said, I need a rechargeable headlamp. About a week later, I got an email from these folks. Sunblesa reached out to me and asked me if I would like to test one of their rechargeable headlamps. Now, I'd seen some tests on these, and I knew that people thought they were pretty good. And, you know, it was a headlamp that they wanted to send me that was rechargeable, so I said, sure. But one thing really intrigued me. They had a model that not only had the white and the red lamps, but also had green. And I knew there were some advantages to green, so I reached out and I said, I'd like to try the one with green. And they said, well, you know, great, but we're not bringing that into the US yet. So I said, okay, well, just let me know when you get it, and then I'll test it. So a while later, they sent me one, and we've had a chance to use this. I've used this camping. We're going to show you how it works when it gets darker here tonight, and I'll show you a little bit about it now. But we were able to use this on our Route 66 camping trip. And if you haven't seen that, which most of you haven't, you can check that out here. But I really liked that green light feature, and I'm going to show you why later. So anyway, let's take a look and see what this headlamp looks like. So let's take a look at this Sunblesa headlamp, and I will say that this is a decent little carrying case that they send it with, so that's kind of nice. And inside the case, you get the headlamp itself, which has the 2 lenses. It does pivot, so you can angle it wherever you want it. It is IP65 rated, which means if it's out in the rain, no problem. You get the charging cord, which is basically a micro USB cord, so if you already have one or one like mine that has multiple heads, that's just a backup. And then you get the instructions, and I will say that the instructions are, well, let me just say that they've clearly been translated into English. But beside the point, you can understand what it is. So first off, this is a very light headlamp. It's not going to win any beauty awards. It's basically just a square block with neon green button on the top and a charging port that's covered by a neon green seal at the bottom, but again, IP65 rated, so I'll take the seals. Let's take a look at the power of this thing. It's a little bit sketchy. I'm going to need these. I'm getting old, my readers. So what it says is that, again, this lamp is the white, red, and green. On the white, the max output is 365 lumens. So that's a pretty powerful headlamp. But it says runtime at 365 lumens is 40 minutes, but it has an asterisk. If you look at the asterisk, it says max mode will work for 30 seconds. Then it will downgrade itself to the high setting, which will go then for another hour before it automatically goes to the medium setting. And I know why that is. It also says that you have battery power on the red and green of 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours. So it's got a pretty good life cycle to it. I'm not going to complain. The reason that this headlamp goes off of max high so quickly is that this does not, well, how do I put this? This is not a world champ when it comes to managing the heat generated by the lamps. When you wear this for a while, like I did, I had to replace something under the dashboard of my pickup truck, so I needed it to see up in there. After wearing this for a while, this headlamp gets pretty darn hot. Now, it doesn't necessarily translate into a hot spot on your forehead or make it uncomfortable, but the light itself did get pretty hot. So my feeling is that the reason that this will not stay on max light of 365 lumens for more than 30 seconds is that it just overheats. it has a heat management issue, and that's why. But on high for an hour, I think this works just fine. But be aware, high on this is 195 lumens, so if you're comparing headlamps, I would call this a 195 lumen headlamp with a 30-second kicker. So anyway, we're gonna wait till it gets dark. We're gonna show you how this works. We're gonna show you why I particularly like the green setting and why I would recommend that to anybody that's overlanding, where you might be needing to look at maps, where you might be doing some reading at night. I'm gonna try to show you that. If I can't get it to show on the camera, at least I'll explain to you why that's so important. So anyway, let's wait till it gets dark and we'll check back in. All right, it's dark. It's time to take a better look at this light. I'm gonna do the white light last. And that's because I want to show you why I think the green light is so useful. So in front of me, I have a map, and I want to show you what that map looks like when you use a green light. So I spread it out. I'm going to turn on the low green light. And as you can see, it doesn't look green. I mean, it almost looks like a white light, but it's not. And you can see that you can read that map extremely well. All the details are there. Turn it on to bright green. You can really read that. But you don't lose your night vision with green light. Now, if you have just a red light, look at the map. You cannot see the details nearly as well. You cannot read this map nearly as well. And look at this. This is the thing on our most recent trip. I have 2 pills there. It is almost impossible for me to tell which pill is which. Now, one is yellow, one is white. And I have to take one at night, one in the morning. I don't want to mess that up. So let me turn this to green and show you immediately. You can tell the difference between the white and the yellow one. High green, super easy. So the clarity and detail on the green light at night when you're trying to retain your night vision is so much better. Now, green light doesn't keep your night vision nearly as well as red light. So if you're not looking at fine detail, I think the red light works just fine. So you can look around the table, you can see everything you need to see. And by the way, this is an aspirational map. It is Baja. So I'm looking forward to trying to use this map in real life. So that is why I think the green light is so important. And I don't know if this helps see me in the video, but this is why I think green light is so important and why I would seriously recommend a light that allows you to use green light. And that's why I think this light, for the price, is really a stellar bargain. So now let's look at how it performs in the white light test. We're about 12 feet away from the woods behind us, and I'm just going to turn the light on so you can see how it performs. All right, low white. So this is the low white. Medium white. High white. And if I hold the button down, you get the flashing white, the emergency. But let's get this to the super high beam white light that you can use for 30 seconds. Now the controls on this are a little bit touchy, as you can see. There's the max white. So as you can see, you've got a nice view. You don't get a lot of depth. So this is a very wide angle light. You can see a lot of area, but you don't get that penetrating beam down the center. So this is not going to be a light if you're looking for a pinpoint down the trail kind of light. This is more of a floodlight that's going to show you what's around. And I did want to talk about a comment I made last night. I think that I've figured out exactly how this thing works. if you turn it on to, let's say, high beam, and you turn it off, the next time you turn on the white light, it's going to start at the high beam. Turn it off again, then when you turn it, boy, that's a lot of turning on and off. So basically, it keeps the setting that you have when you turn it off for the first time you turn it back on. If you turn it off again, then start, it cycles through all the settings. So, in other words, if you stop on high, next time you turn it on, it's going to be on high. Next time you turn it on, it's going to cycle through. So low, medium, high, and then max high. You kind of got to count in your head to get to max high. So you've got to count out that 1001, 1002, boom. Otherwise you go straight from high beam to the flasher. There's also, I didn't mention this or show it last night, there are 2 flash settings for the red light too. And those are basically emergency settings. If you find yourself lost in the woods, it just kind of attracts attentions for people that might be looking for you. So, flashing white, 2 flashing reds. So I did want to point that out since I made the comment about the finicky controls last night. I thought I'd better explain what was going on. This morning, we're having our coffee and we're going to do a wrap up on this headlight. What do we think about it? So as you saw when we were doing the map reading and the pill differentiation, I think that the green light is phenomenal. I mean, I am sold on the whole green light thing, and it's not common to see these lower priced headlamps that feature the green light. Most of them are white and red. So I think that this unit stands out a little bit in the crowd from that perspective. As you saw, it's more of a floodlight than a spotlight. So if you're looking for a spotlight for trail running and that kind of thing, I would not necessarily put this at the top of the list. But if you're looking for a headlamp to use around camp, to do chores, to work on your car, I think this is a good sort of beam angle for that with the spotlight effect. It's about $27, $28 on Amazon. There are a lot of headlamps in that price range. I think this is as good as any. Stylish wise, it's not the most stylish headlamp. It's sort of just a block design. The charge port where you charge it, you have to make sure that you snap that back into place. It doesn't automatically close to water tightness when you get done charging, excuse me. But overall, I would say this is a great headlamp. Perfect headlamp to throw in the truck or the camp bag when you're out and around camp. Again, if you're reading maps, if you're looking at fine detail, that green light is super nice. So, you know, I think this is a great light. Is it going to last forever? Yeah, it's 28 bucks, right? So it's not going to be with you and passed down to your kids for sure. But it's a great light. I think that I'm happy that I have it. I think that says something. I carry it with me. That says something. So the Sunblesa for $28, I think is a great buy. If you don't like the green light, after everything I've said, they do have a version that is just the white and red light, and that online is rated at the 360 lumens. So, you know, I don't know if it's the same issue that this one has. I did test the high or the max high today. So before I sat down to do this, I did put it on max high, and sure enough, at right about that 30-second mark, the light dimmed. So 30 seconds of max high is what you get out of this before I suspect it overheats. So that is, in fact, the case. But anyway, I'm going to put a link to this below. If you're interested in picking one up or checking it out, I'll put a link to both the one with the green light, that's the one to get, or the regular one. And as always, thanks for joining us. If you like content like this, if you like learning about gear, take a moment to hit that sub button in the lower right-hand corner, give us a thumbs up, and share this with like-minded individuals. And if you want to leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. And as always, take care, and we'll see you outdoors.